Aurora and Arthur Petrova. A day at the beach turns horrendously sour. In room 261 of the Holiday Inn, the Petrovas start their day beneath the spires of Aldriki, where the morning mist is gray. By no means was the move from Romford a mistake of any kind. An abysmal, tiny flat and cacophonous roads are what they left behind. But their current tenancy at Harroway is on the verge of its demise, a bittersweet circumstance that brings a tear to Petar's eyes. On borrowed time, they long for Chelmsford, the city of their dreams, while their hope for a new flat is currently coming apart at the seams. Stuff and nonsense, Petar cries, as the landlord plans to sell, turning their summer holiday into a dismal, living hell. The morning meal is inconsistent, an error in its craft, as the hotel kitchen's standard makes the family feel quite daft. Aurora eats a full English, her hunger persistent and wide, while Arthur picks at Cocoa Pops with nowhere left to hide. "It's bad enough we're moving," Arthur mutters with a frown, as he imagines the monotony of another rented town. Aurora, in her pink-rimmed glasses, is ecstatic and elate, overlooking the dreadful peril of their transient, fickle fate. The light is non-existent. The room is cramped and small, a far from spacious setting for a family through it all. Maria dons her orange gown, a vibrant silken shield, lest the kettle-scalded scars on her skin should be revealed. She must conceal the trauma of a former, painful day, adorning her appearance in a bright and orange way. Petar reviews the itinerary, his blue glasses on his nose, while the tension in the tiny room incessantly grows. His Vauxhall Vectra is manual, a petrol-drinking beast, an inferior machine, to say the very, very least. He longs for his old Audi, a car of superior grace, which was far more competent for the Petrova family race. We proceed to Glasgow. Petar shouts, his voice a vocal roar, as they pack the blue Vauxhall, a car he does deplore. The move from Romford was intentional, to evade the urban stench, but now they face a dilemma that makes Petar's muscles clench. He checks the manual gears in advance, his hands a greasy blue, while Maria packs sufficient snacks for the children and the crew. The car is prone to stalling, an omen of the night, as they vacate the hotel under a sky of dismal light. The engine coughs. Vroom, vroom. A smoky rattling sound, as the quest for a new Chelmsford home remains yet to be found. Within the blue Vauxhall, the fumes are an eyesore and a weight, as they navigate the Highland roads and confront their heavy fate. The AC is a defunct thing, it's redundant and it's dry, making the heat escalate beneath the August sky. Arthur feels a tetraphobia, a phobia of the four, as the four wheels of the Vectra rattle on the floor. The car is an earsore, the engine's song is loud, as they drive through the Silver City, under a heavy cloud. "Zdravai," Maria whispers to her son to calm his fear. But the stench of burning petrol is the only thing that's near. At 38 Glenshee, they meet their distinguished friends, where the long and tedious journey finally, mostly ends. Tari James is exhilarated, standing by his Audi Q7, a spacious, diesel automatic, a little slice of heaven. "Salam." Tari bellows. His smile is wide and bright, a beacon of Persian hospitality in the morning light. The contrast is abysmal, the Audi sleek and new, as Petar's envy starts to wane into a darker hue. Tari proposes an inquiry, a plan for the day's event, to ensure the precious holiday is enthusiastically spent. Princess is an elder soul, 11 and quite wise. She greets the Petrova children with observant, dark brown eyes. But Aurora is loquacious, her voice a piercing stream. She talks of pink-rimmed glasses and a frantic, fevered dream. She squabbles over seating, her bicker is a chore, as she demands the Audi seat and protests the Vectra door. "Don't be juvenile." Maria scolds, but her words fall on deaf ears, as Aurora's snobbish attitude exacerbates her fears. The children bicker and dispute, a cacophony of sound, as the initial joy of meeting is no longer to be found. Young Victor joins the party, a boy of 7 years, with Scottish-Persian heritage that calms his sister's fears. Ilani wears her purple clothes, a royal, vibrant shade, as the plans for beach activities are meticulously made. They collaborate on games, vice versa, back and forth, bringing a touch of southern heat to the chilly, rugged north. Victor brings a football, Ilani brings a net, determined that the Barassi sand will be the finest yet. They pile into the vehicles, a multicultural crew, underneath a variable sky that's turning a faint blue. They stop at Tesco for a hoard of sugary, salty treats, a ton of provisions for the coastal, sandy seats. Aurora grabs the Coke and apples, her eyes a greedy shine, while Prince James picks the Snickers from the chocolatey line. Codefez for now, says Serena, staying back at home, with Princess to assist her, far from the salty foam. The decision is irrevocable. They'll stay and bake some cake, while the others head to Ayrshire for the ocean's salty sake. The children are exhilarated, their voices loud and high, as they leave the girls behind beneath the vast and open sky. At Barassi Beach, the wind is sharp, a cold and biting blade, but Arthur finds a treasure in the shells the tide has laid. The sand is like a golden quilt, the sea a restless sheet, where the Petrovas and Jameses finally find a place to meet. Petar stands upon the shore, his blue glasses sprayed with brine, while the scenery is reminiscent of a cold and ancient wine. It is anything but tropical, the air is thin and chill, but the indispensable excitement is a thing they cannot kill. The beauty is marred by the wind, the clouds begin to fade, as a gradual watery sunlight starts to dance in golden shade. Ilani and Prince explore the rock pool's hidden depths, taking careful, balanced, and sibilant, soaking steps. They find a crab, a tiny thing with claws of mossy green, the strangest little creature that the children have ever seen. The peril of the slippery stones is a risk they gladly take, as they request a photograph for their memory's sweet sake. The tide is in its wane, a slow and steady retreat, while the scent of the salt air makes the afternoon complete. The fun is not postponed, despite the biting salty spray, as they make the very best of this exhilarated day. Slava na gospoda, Maria cries, her Samsung in her hand, capturing the children as they run across the sand. Praise the Lord, the phrase repeats, an ironic, joyful sound, as the beauty of the moment is meticulously found. Petar joins her for a photo, his blue glasses catching light, an antithesis to the coming gloom and the horrendous night. The scent of salt is heavy, the existent joy is real, as they try to wane the worries that they all so deeply feel. Their presence on the beach is current, a memory to extend, before the day begins its long and agonizing bend. The journey back begins in Tari's Audi, sleek and wide, but Aurora's infantile behavior begins to turn the tide. She fiddles with the sunroof, her fingers fast and bold, ignoring Tari's warnings as the car turns sharp and cold. "Stop that now," the driver snaps. "It's out of the question, girl," as her stubborn, silent anger begins to twist and curl. She intentionally persists. She sabotages the peace, ensuring that the comfort of the ride will quickly cease. It is a big mistake, a move that's pear-shaped and down south, as she inadvertently mocks him with her petulant, pouting mouth. Tari's voice is infuriated, a hammer on the soul, as he tries to keep his temper and his driving in control. But Aurora mimics his commands. She's an earsore and a pest, putting Tari's legendary patience to the ultimate dire test. Suddenly he intervenes. His hand connects with her thigh. "Enough," he bellows loudly. "I'll not have you fly so high." The retaliation is swift. Aurora is reduced to tears as she protests the discipline and her own juvenile fears. The atmosphere is poisoned. The joy has turned to ire as his infuriated actions add more fuel to the fire. Back at Glenshie Street, the party starts for James and all their kin, but the Petrovas are shunned and left without the joy within. Serena and Princess serve the cakes and Persian tea, while the Petrovas feel alienated, as lonesome as can be. The exclusion is a bitter pill. They are barred from the delight, as the shadows of the evening turn into a dismal night. Maria feels the sting of it. She resents the quiet slight, as the tolerant facade begins to fade from human sight. The Jameses stay inside their home, their sanctuary exclusive, while the Petrova's presence feels redundant and intrusive. While the adults bicker in the hall, Aurora finds a phone and enters a virtual world where she is all alone. She watches How to Basic, a video of beans and light, a juvenile instruction that fills her with delight. She sees the candles melting into piles of legumes and tin, and feels a wild, erratic urge to let the mess begin. The video is a demonstration of how to vandalize and wreck. Keeping her engaged and holding her chaotic whims in check, she longs to mimic the mess, to instigate a scene, the most loquacious vocal girl the world has ever seen. Arthur sees the screen and gasps, his green glasses all aglow. "I'm telling Mom," he whispers, and he's anything but slow. He finds Maria in the hall and whispers of the sin, of the forbidden videos and the trouble they are in. Aurora is caught red-handed, her secrets brought to light, as Maria's concern turns into a cold and focused might. "Give me that," she demands. The phone is confiscated fast, as Aurora's digital freedom is a thing of the distant past. She is reticent and stubborn. She implies she's done no wrong, as the silence in the James's house grows heavy, thick, and long. "To your studies," Maria screams, her voice a jagged knife, as she brings the 11+ to the center of their life. Aurora must do reasoning, the puzzles and the grids, the tedious, boring burden of the cleverest of kids. She is reluctant and resistant. She objects to every page. Her incompetence is intentional, a mask for her inner rage. Maria will not relent. She will not be lenient tonight. "You'll forfeit every treat," she cries, "until you get this right." The monotony is atrocious. The tasks are out of bounds, as the sound of Maria's berating rebuke through the house resounds. The dinner is a meager thing, of rice and noodles plain, an atrocious metaphor for the Petrova's growing pain. Aurora hates the blandness. She wants the snacks from the store. She overlooks the effort as her fork hits the kitchen floor. "This food is rotten," she declares, her lackluster appetite small, as she tries to prolong the misery for each and every all. Arthur eats in silence, his green glasses on his nose, as the shadow of the tantrum begins to stretch its toes. It is inadequate and dismal, a tasteless, plain affair, as the stench of disappointment hangs heavy in the air. Aurora hogs the apple juice. She drinks the IRN brew dry, an egotistical display beneath the darkening sky. She is disqualified from manners. She's insistent on her greed, taking much less than she wants, but more than she could need. "Wisht," Maria commands, but the girl will not obey. She's determined to be difficult in every single way. She is banned from the desserts. The donuts are revoked, as her excessive, selfish nature is thoroughly provoked. Prince James watches in dismay. His thirst remains unquenched, while the atmosphere of the room in bitterness is drenched. The drive back to Edinburgh is a dismal, silent trek, with Petar's old blue Vauxhall now a smoking, rattling wreck. Victor rides along with them, a witness to the gloom, as the Petrovas head back toward their tiny hotel room. The Scottish hills are giants that are watching from the dark, as the engine emits one final, dying, smoky spark. The U-turn in their fortunes is a thing they can't avoid, as the peace of the morning is utterly destroyed. No wonder it's a failure. Petar mutters with a sigh, as the stars begin to falter in the black and highland sky. They stop at Testo Extra for some substandard snacks to fill the empty bellies and the children's hungry packs. Then Petar buys some trainers, Nike Pink and JD Bright, a bribe, to stop the coming storm on this horrendous night. It's the thought that counts, he thinks, but Aurora doesn't care. She takes the precious box with a cold and vacant stare. The gift is a last resort, a desperate, failing plea to bring some precious harmony to their tired family. But the air is thick with tension, the silence is a weight, as they head back to the hotel to meet their final fate. They reach room 261 as the clock strikes 10:30. The Petrovas are back within their tiny hotel den. Arthur climbs into his bed, his green glasses put away, hoping for an end to this erratic, awful day. But Maria's face is set in stone, her orange glasses bright, as she prepares to confront the girl in the middle of the night. "Are you for real?" she asks, her voice a low and wary hiss. "Did you think that your behavior would lead to anything but this?" The calm before the storm is a heavy, breathless thing, as they wait to see what misery the coming hour will bring. The tantrum is a hurricane, an obscene, catastrophic sound, as Aurora throws her body down upon the carpeted ground. She regresses to a toddler, her screams a piercing, livid wail, as the discipline of the parents begins to limp and fail. She is distraught and irate, a heap of pink and spite, on the brink of total madness in the middle of the night. Then comes the final insult, the damp and shameful sign, as she wets herself in anger, crossing every family line. It is more than they bargained for, a severe and foul demise, as the fury of Maria reflects in her wide and orange eyes. "Get out!" Maria bellows, her patience snapped in two. "The street shall be your bedroom, for I am done with you." She hauls the girl into the hall and to the cold night air, ignoring the girl's wide, wet-eyed, and terrified stare. The door is locked, the bolt is thrown, the day has turned to sour, in the shivering dark silence of the midnight's lonely hour. Her presence is non-existent now, her vacancy is clear, as she's left to face the hallway and her own growing fear. The light at the end of the tunnel has faded into black, and there is no way for Aurora to find her way back.